Okay, hello again, Ron.
Hey,
Back here with Ron Desjardin from Birch Narrows, Turner Lake, and he's going to give us an update. We had a session last week where we podcasted and talked a little bit about um, some of the issues that are going on near Ron's community and how he's been sorting through that, navigating through that whole thing. And yeah, I'll let you take it away though, Ron.
well, good evening, and good evening to on there. Um, it's been quite interesting, very interesting last few weeks. But this company, when they showed up, there was an agreement to meet. It would have been to meet on Tuesday of this week, this last week, and lo and behold, on Friday. See, the understanding was we were going to meet first. Friday, I looked out my window and I told my wife, "What's going on?" And I saw a bunch of snow machines being unloaded and a bunch of people. So I rushed over there and I said, "Are you from Baseload?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "You weren't supposed to be here. We hadn't agreed on this. We're
Yeah.
still thinking about it." And they said, "Well, we were sent here. We were told to come here." I said, "Well, right." So I went to see the supervisor, which happened to be in the building, and and he said the same thing. And I said, "Well, you guys better hold on because, first of all, we are still on lockdown. We don't want people coming in from anywhere else into our community, to our reserve, and you didn't get any permission to come in here." And
So your
so I
chief and council didn't know, and nobody approved
no,
anything,
no, no.
and they
And
didn't get stopped at the gate.
they didn't stop at the time. We didn't have the gate up.
Okay.
So none of the leaders knew. No one knew. And but to make a long story short, they went anyway. They unloaded all their things and off they went. By that time, I guess some of them had gone already. By the time I went to go see them, so I got a hold of the CEO, and I didn't get anywhere. Of course, I mean, he said, "Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys." I said, "We're still talking about this. Why would you go ahead and do something like this? Now you've jeopardized this whole process." I told him, right, and of course the leadership talked to him too. Uh, but what was interesting was we went ahead and had that meeting and we voiced all our opinions and concerns, the community members, the leadership. And at the end of the meeting, the chief and council handed him a letter of cease and desist. In other words, get out of town. He took it and he left. But we decided the next day, let's go check this out. We'll find out what's going on. We'll go ahead and put up the blockade anyway.
Yeah.
So we went over there, and one of our locals here had a plow, so he plowed the road, and I followed him in the truck. And when we got there, there's about four of them. After we were there for a while, we were still down at the lake. We hadn't set up camp yet. They pulled up. They're coming out from the bush, and I said, "What are you guys?"
Base load?
Yeah. So what are you guys doing? Well, they're doing their thing, right? And I said, "Weren't you advised yesterday that you were supposed to pull out?" "No," he said. "The CEO called us and said that a deal had been brokered and we're good.
What?
We're fine." Yeah, that's what we said. "What?" He said, "Yeah, the chief gave approval and, you know."
And what did your chief say?
Well, here's the thing. I said, "Well, I don't think that's how it went down.
Yeah.
I don't, that's not what we said and that's not what we agreed to." So
Hmm.
I took off back to town And I came to see the chief, and of course, yeah, no such thing, nothing, right?
Wow.
Had been made, and they were supposed to leave. So I mean, all this devious stuff was going on, right? And anyway, we stayed there, we camped there, and then we got a letter that basically told us, "You guys are breaking the law. It's illegal what you're doing." Uh,
What?
yeah,
We're
and
doing
what's that?
what you were doing was illegal, they were saying?
Yeah, that's what he told us. You guys.
Can you just do a little like a recap almost of kind of how this went down, like just for anybody that might be new listening to this?
Like, how do you mean?
Um, well, I guess I can just summarize it real quick. So, Ron has been kind of helping chief and council with like you're appointed as like an elder advisor, right?
As an elder advisor, but I think there's lots to this team.
Oh,
There's there's quite a few individuals that are involved in this. I'm not the only one.
yeah. Well, and I think it's just like a concerted community effort, hey?
It was, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a
So
lot of
there's a uranium company coming in without permission and trying to start work.
right.
Yeah. So you've set up a blockade yesterday or
That would have been on. Let's see, when did we have the meeting?
Thursday?
Wednesday was when we went in.
Okay.
On Wednesday last week,
Yeah.
that's when we went in and set up the blockade.
Okay.
Boys came out of the bush and told us, no, we were told last night the meeting went well, everything was approved, and we're good.
What?
So the CEO basically lied to them. That's that's what he did. And I said, no, that's not what went down.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we got a letter anyway stating that we were, basically we're breaking the law and it's illegal what we were doing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, no, but anyway, from there we got in touch with this guy, and that was crazy. Trying to act confused, like trying to act like he didn't understand what's going on, you
Yeah.
know. And we told him what you guys what you did there was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, to make it worse too was he also got a hold of the RCMP and wanted to ensure the safety of the crew there. He
Oh.
made it sound like we were going to harm them and we're terrorists. And that's basically his game. He wanted us. He wanted to make us look bad, but I mean, he used words like threatening. We did say we're going to blockade, and he said you forcibly the crew, and we said no such thing.
Yeah.
Asked us if we're going to put up a blockade. I said yes, we are. We are going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
they with us there. Yeah.
and this road is like on somebody's trap line or
Yes. Yes, it's on somebody's trap line, which they hadn't even talked to him about. They just went ahead and used it. And here's the thing: they moved the snares. The snares were all on the side that he had set for links.
oh
And
really?
making trails back there.
What?
They were just driving their screws anywhere and trying to find their location, I guess, as to where they're going to do this testing. It was crazy.
Oh my God. So
That,
what happens
yeah,
now?
that was in the end of it. One of them showed up there
Mm-hmm.
and basically offered them some whiskey. They
God.
had a shake, right?
That is brutal. Candace is asking who the letter was from.
The letter was from Chief and Council, the leadership.
For them to cease and desist, right? And
Yeah,
then there was another letter that came to you guys telling you couldn't be there.
from the company.
Oh, that came from the company.
Letter that came from the company saying that it was illegal what we're doing. And if you were going to put up a blockade, then let us know. Of course, we're not going to let them know
Well,
that.
isn't it illegal what they're doing? Like you should just go give that letter back to them. Say this, like, I think this belongs to you. That is
But
terrible.
But to make a long story short,
Mhm.
all of a sudden he changed his tune. Then we
Okay.
have a letter saying that he's going to abide by the letter to a cease and desist.
Uh-huh.
But what's interesting was he asked for safe passage for his crew.
Yeah.
Safe passage at the blockade for his crew. It's almost like we're out there to hurt them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's for us. I mean, we know that's only the first step.
Mm-hmm.
I this guy's not quitting. I know it. He's been devious. He's been untruthful. Um, he hasn't acted in good faith at all.
Mm-hmm. So the cops, so when the cops were talked to, did they say anything to that company for, because technically they're trespassing, right?
Well, you see, what they told the cops was that he was going to come over here and take and get his crew out, but
Okay.
he if they'll be safe. Basically, that's what he was asking the RCMP. So the RCMP got a hold of one of our leadership here, one of our resource developer here,
Yeah.
and just gave him a heads up. He called the RCMP and he just wanted to know if he'd be safe, right? And of course,
Yeah.
he told, "Well, we're not going to hurt anybody, right? You know, we're not out there to do that. This is peaceful demonstration."
Yeah.
Uh, but that evening, what the leadership did was they asked him to confirm that he was going to go straight to where these people were to pull out his equipment and
Mm-hmm.
going to go up and cause trouble, right? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
what he was going to just going to go up there and try to agitate us, right? To try and get us to react.
Mm-hmm.
So, but thankfully he didn't. They actually pulled out yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually pulled out. But we know that there's. I'm suspecting they're going to be using helicopters.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's our. But we're ready for it. We've got some young guys up there right now. They're patrolling.
Yeah.
They're just checking out the area, so they'll be keeping an eye out. And as soon as it happens, there'll be a bunch of them out there to
Okay. One
interact.
second. My sister's dog is trying to poop in my yard, in my living room. I'm so sorry. I just saw her starting to bend over to poop. I'm like, oh no.
So I mean, I'm new at this, you know, and it's
Yep.
interesting because when we started this whole process, we were making our plea to the Ministry of the Environment.
Yeah.
Please, this is who we are. This is what we. This is our land. This is what we live off of. We depend. We have a spiritual and heritage and all this stuff. We're
Yeah.
trying to get the ministry to understand, right? But I sure learned a lesson. They don't care. I mean, they have their own agenda. And I kind of ran into this quote from Arthur Manuel, and Arthur Manuel is well known in BC as an activist, and well, he's passed on now, I guess, yeah. But he said, "Quit crying on the shoulder of the guy who stole our land," and that's basically what we've been doing, crying on the shoulder of the people who stole our land, expecting that we'll have some vindication, some justice in this. And that's a hard lesson, like to finally look back and say, yeah, doing, you know. So we're stepping back. We're we're trying to get all our resources together. There has been land use studies that have been done in the past.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find all our stuff that have been archived. put some argument together as to where we want to go here.
Okay.
And one of them is
That'll come from chief and council or from
it'll come from the community, it'll come from all the leadership here.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we're looking at development.
Pardon?
And we have a draft already that was developed in 2009, I think.
Okay.
Robert Moberly was a chief. Robert Sylvester was a chief at that.
Mm-hmm.
And revisit that document,
Yeah.
update it. So that's in a process right now.
So this has happened before in your community?
Not to this extent.
No.
Not to this extent. And see, right now, our community, I'd probably say 100%. I wouldn't be wrong in saying that.
Yeah.
We need to protect this. We can't lose this. And we talk about that even with the young people. There's been trappers that have lost their lives up there. And I'm sure our ancestors have been buried up there. And families have been born up there. Some of the today, like for example, Eric Sylvester talked about his father, 92 now, who was born in that bay.
Oh.
Operation is taking place in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and somebody's trap line is right there still. Like they're on it. That's crazy.
Yeah. So there was just a total disrespect and disregard for the whole process to us. And
Yeah.
he tried to sneak in here. And that wasn't our understanding. We're still talking.
So how does it work at like a First Nation, like at a First Nations level with Bill C-69? So with the duty to consult, right? Isn't that the legislation that companies are required to do that part of the process? Like, what did they say about that?
My understanding, like when we look at that document, that faulty document the government put together,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very weak document, as I said before. There's so many contradictions in there.
Mm-hmm.
They they don't encourage proponents to actually engage with us,
Yeah.
and they determine when it's time for the proponents to engage. Like I'm talking about the government.
So how is it determined whether or not, like, is it?
They
I,
have they have a matrix in there as to when the duty to consult is triggered.
okay, and what does that look like?
Oh, I couldn't tell you right off the bat, but they have certain steps to what would trigger
Okay.
the process. But in all of this too, it's just a farce. It's it's not real because it's just a formality. It's like a slap in the face
Yeah.
because what the outcome is. We can talk till the blue in the face as to why we don't want this, and that's what I think really upsets me is that that's all it is. It's just a slap in the face. There's nothing real, no meat to this whole process.
Yeah.
All it is go talk to them, buy them off, or whatever. When this guy came in, he wanted to get us a cell tower.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to do. And we said rather than a cell tower, we'd like that money to be invested in study. But the condition was we wanted that study done before he even went up,
Yeah.
of course, And then he changed his tune. Then he said 10,000 up front, and then $40,000 in shares.
Mm-hmm.
Then he come up with 20,000, 30,000 in shares. But I don't think the shares are worth anything either.
So would Birch Narrows have ownership, or what would that look like?
Yeah, that's basically what it would look like.
Okay.
But I don't think it's worth anything.
Yeah.
Because we do have our connections too, right? And we do have people who work behind the scenes. Thankfully,
Mhm.
they checked it out too. So,
So, what is your next step now? Like, what?
well, I think right now, I think what I just want to. I don't know how many people are aware of the duty to consult, or even taking the time to actually read it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to point out a few things. In their preamble, they say, although to policy is on consultation as it applies to treaty and Aboriginal rights associated with lands and renewable resources, it does not exclude application to other treaty and Aboriginal rights. And that's on page 4. And then their objectives are to respect and protect rights,
Mm-hmm.
negative impacts to be minimized, mitigated, and rights are accommodated as appropriate. You see, here's what happened to us. They weren't accommodating us. They didn't want to. The government didn't, let alone the company. To advance the process of reconciliation, to promote certainty and a stable, secure investment climate for the residents of Saskatchewan. And then, as an afterthought, including First Nations and Métis communities. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's and then on page 8, under Aboriginal title,
Mm-hmm.
bombshell. The government does not accept assertions by First Nations or Métis that Aboriginal title continues to exist with respects to either lands or resources in Saskatchewan.
Okay, read that again.
The government does not accept assertions by First Nations or Métis that Aboriginal title continues to exist with respect to either lands or resources in Saskatchewan. Accordingly, decisions claimed to adversely affect Aboriginal title are not subject to this policy. And here's what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we are, as First Nations individuals, peoples in our own country, in our own land.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to us to offer the burden of proof. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Why does it have to be up to us?
Yeah.
We have to fight. Why do we always have to stand up there and say, this is why? And those are some of the things we need to ask. Because Saskatchewan's wealth was gleaned from the lands and resources of our people. How much do we actually get out of this, right? Think of
Mm-hmm.
all done in the past with the industry in our north. Look at our roads. Look at our
Like
infrastructure.
nothing, hey?
Terrible.
Yeah.
And they pulled probably billions out of here. I don't know how much they pulled out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know, but that's kind of the situation that we're in. And when you look at the other thing that's interesting too, I mean, if we look at land base, right? I mean, you guys probably know this, but 99.8% is crown land or private or corporations, right? Owned.
Mm-hmm.
And 2% indigenous reserves. Now, how can that be construed as a fair deal? How? Especially when we look at Saskatchewan, I think we're almost at 20% in terms of First Nations and Métis people.
Really?
I think we're at about that.
Oh, like population?
Wise, yeah.
Yeah.
How is it that we can survive, let alone try to thrive where we're at? And look at the Métis people. You know, what land do they have?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, according to the Constitution Act of 1982 and Section 35, which we referred to, It has recognition and affirmation of Aboriginal and treaty rights. It protects our activities, practices, traditions. It provides protection to use the land for traditional practices. It's not protecting ours right now. You know?
So I wonder, like, that point you made earlier about um crying to the shoulder of the oppressor kind of thing. Um, like, what is it then that we need to kind of start doing more of at a community level, like at like an individual level outside of like I guess government led things, you know?
Well, when we look at the Royal Proclamation of 1763, it recognized Aboriginal title and the rights. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things we have to remember, and I'm talking about treaty, but it also occurred with Métis, with
Mhm.
script. When they came to our country and they came to our lands,
Mhm.
you always had the interpreter, which obviously they probably selected. I don't think any of our people said, "Oh, you interpret." They probably had
Yeah.
their own interpreter. Now, so what happens is their story, his story.
Mhm.
What happened to our people? See, and we were all raised, and I think just about any indigenous person in Canada say, "This is what my grandfather told me. This is what my ancestors told me. That when we signed the treaty, we signed it recognizing that we were going to." Okay, if you take a look around Birch Narrows here, like we're living in a little 1 square kilometer section of land.
Yeah.
Now, I can't believe that my ancestors were that stupid to say, "Oh, give us that little 1 square
Okay,
kilometer
I'll take
land.
that little
Hey,
little lot there.
you know,
Yeah.
I did that. I think a lot of stuff were left out of that deal.
Mhm.
It was oral and it was misunderstood.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and I mean, as we go on, I guess with this fight, I mean, things do pop up and things do come up in our favor. But it's a long, hard battle.
Mhm.
Long, hard battle, and it does get frustrating at times. But I think, like I said before, what we need to do as individuals, what we need to do. Just give me a second. No, just my grandson and his dog. Okay, what we need to do as individuals, as indigenous people, is we need to reset. We need to reframe what we think in our, because we fought colonization for so long, and we have been socialized for so long to convince us that we don't have any title. To
Mhm.
con- no, no, you can't say that. You can't say you don't own the land. You don't own any of that. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, even I think I'm not sure when the Assembly of First Nations made a recommendation for Canada to take the following steps, because these were all discriminatory practices when we look at the doctrine of discovery.
Mhm.
And they they made some recommendations for Canada. I don't know where they're at with it now, but first of all was to acknowledge that
Mhm.
this doctrine has had devastating consequences not only in Canada but also worldwide. To
Yeah.
reject all doctrines of superiority, to repudiate all doctrines of superiority, such as the duty to consult, being one of them, examine how historical practices have relied on such practices, to reinterpret in line with UNDRIP and contemporary international human rights standards, to ensure and address all issues regarding lands and resources that were taken without free, prior, and informed consent. Ensure this doctrine is not invoked in contemporary court cases or negotiations. And it all boils back to all of that stuff as to people showing up here and taking the land and basically just stealing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It still very, very much exists.
It does.
And I think voices in our area are just not heard, like it's been going on for a very long time.
It has been, yeah. And I mean, what's indicative of that too? I mean, if you look at the Natural Resource Transfer Agreement, there again, that's another one of those.
Mm-hmm.
It was signed. They come up with this in 1930.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I guess basically up to that point, Treaty 10 was signed in 1906 for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then in March 20th of 1930, they had the Natural Resource Transfer Act because the province was crying and saying, well, what, we need revenue, I guess. We need resources. And so Canada said, okay, then we'll give you all the land. You guys take it, right? But didn't you just sign Treaty 10? That's for 220,000 square kilometers?
Yeah.
What's that now? See, and it always, I'd like to know, why is this designated as Treaty 10? Why
Mm-hmm.
do we have a boundary there? What does it mean today?
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be some significance to this, it can't be just, yeah, okay, it's Treaty 10 territory and that's it, but you don't have any ownership in it, right?
Yeah.
So, and going back again to that concept of who in their right mind would agree and say, yeah, put us on this little reserve and take all the land away, we'll give it to you.
Yeah. Can
I
be.
hard to believe that's probably one of the biggest lies that was ever put out there, because they wanted to steal it, right? They wanted to take it. Yeah.
Land back. 1 second, Karen. These dogs are driving me crazy.
Dog charts.
What?
I got you kicking around my feet here.
Okay, sorry. Had a brief intermission. I put this Doctrine of Discovery document up on from the AFN.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay, so there's a lot here, right? And I wonder like if it would be worth calling like or inviting some of the people that are working on the peat moss project in Larange, like, do you know what I mean? Like talking to a few other people that are working on land protection initiatives and kind of, um, three brains are better than one.
I think so. I think. I mean, that's. I mean, together we're better.
Yeah.
United, we're better, and we need to uh, we need to unite as Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Métis. We have to. We can't do this separately. Yeah.
I see
But
your little grandbaby there.
yeah,
sneaking in.
Yeah. Um, I think what we'd like to do is our next move is to try and get the minister to try and meet with the minister here. I don't know if that can happen, but I think that's what we'd like to do. Look our view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that could definitely happen, and you keep pushing, and you will. So, what was some of the feedback that you got from the province, from all the questions that you asked? Like, what were some of the kind of things that stood out to you?
Well, I did finally get some answers to some of the questions that were given to me, but I mean, again, I mean they don't completely answer, right. They have a way of answering those questions, but I did appreciate some of the answers there. Um, the clincher was the clinch. Uh, the last letter I got from the environment from Gil Haas, and he basically told me that in the future,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to address concerns and you have questions,
Yeah.
then go through chief and council. And
Okay.
so he sent off another letter and said, well, I do speak for chief and council as the elder advisor. I do keep them in the loop as to what's happening,
Yeah.
you know. And I also said, like, as a civil servant, are you saying that as an individual, a citizen, cannot ask questions?
Yeah.
That's basically what he's telling me, right?
Yeah.
He just got tired of me pestering him, maybe, I guess.
Persistence, not pestering.
Thing, right? And I did get some of those answers.
That's good.
That goes back again to what Arthur Manuel said, stop crying on their shoulder, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, um, I guess we can kind of just stay in communication, keep updating me, and we can ensure that communication is going out to people on this, because I think it's important for people to know, and other communities to feel empowered by, the work that you guys are doing, because, sometimes it just people don't ask enough questions. So,
I got a call from someone else from another community. I won't say the community because I don't want to cause any trouble either, but
yeah.
he said that when they had an issue a few years ago regarding something like this,
Yeah.
the thing that brought it down was division. People weren't sticking together, and I guess I'm really grateful for my community and my leadership
Yeah.
because up to this point we stood hand in hand.
Hmm.
We agreed as to where and how we were going to do this and what our next steps are going to be down the road.
Hmm.
So I mean, our work has just started for us, but we do have a good team, a
Yeah.
very excellent team. We have a former tribal chief with us, the chief and council, Métis local 40 rep Kelly Kwan, um, very dedicated land users who are willing to pay the price.
Yeah.
They're willing to go to jail if they have to, they said, you know. And the whole community at large here, yeah, they've expressed their concerns. They don't want development back there because that piece of land back there means a lot to us. We've been roaming and traveling in that place. We got trap lines and hunting territory back there.
Yeah.
This will definitely infringe on. They're telling us, yeah, the exploration part is going to be a low impact. It's not going to do anything to wildlife. Yeah, but what if you find something?
Yeah.
They're not going to stop.
Yeah.
They go ahead and find something. Yeah, they're not stopping. So I'd rather they didn't find anything. That
Yeah.
oh, you know, that's what I would rather. And I think for most of my with people. Yeah.
Does your community have a like a land use plan?
A what?
Like a land use plan?
We do. We do
Okay.
some stuff. I was saying because one of the suggestions that we talked about was starting now to research and look at some of the stuff that have been done historically.
Yeah.
Up to the point, because there has been some work that has been done, and and that's what we need to look at, because there is some stuff that we've done with Métis people too,
Yeah.
and I think Clement Shorty knows some of that stuff. Kelly Kwan is going to research that, see what he can come up with.
Yeah.
But that's where we want to go, uh, and build on that and
Great.
continue on that. I think the more we have, and there are some stuff that that I think have been archived through MLTC. Yeah, and some of the stuff too we did recently. So that's the next move. We really need to get that done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, I think for anybody that's listening that, you know, maybe has some experience with this or advice or like contacts that might be useful for Ron and, you know, the potential of this process continuing, yeah, drop a message in the comments or send me or Ron a message and
Yeah.
get that to him.
And I think just a reminder that back again, we're going to survive. We need to
Yeah.
survive as Indigenous peoples. Um, I was just looking. I was just kind of researching some stats through the United Nations when it looks at the Human Development Index,
Yeah.
regarding education, health, and all these areas, right? Justice, I guess. Um, they rate from 0 to 1 when they do these studies.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty complex, but there's a section there on registered Indians.
Mhm.
On the index back in 2006, I think we were at 71%. And then at 2016, we were at 73%. And then they broke that down to on reserve. It was 66% in 2006 and 69% in 2016. And off reserve, it even got higher with 74% to 76% in 2016. Other Canadians, with the inclusion of Métis, Inuit, and non-status, it was at 82% in 2006 and 84% in 2016. And I made a little note here. I suspect if the above First Nations were not included, the index probably would have risen or lowered, I guess I should say. Canada ranked 12th in 2016 out of 189
Well, they
countries.
don't even include Indigenous people in that.
Yes, they did, yeah.
Oh, they did. Okay.
But that's why I'm just talking about the Indigenous peoples here.
Yeah.
Back in 2016, Canada ranked 12th. They dropped, yeah,
Hmm.
out of 189 countries. Out of the registered Indians,
Mm-hmm.
they use the word that they use the term Indian. Uh, we were at we were 52nd, 52 in all of the countries in 2016, and then we hit 63 in 2006. So we kind of dropped since then. Now here's the thing: off reserve, we were down to 42nd out of 189 in 2016, and then 47 in 2006. On reserve, we were 78th in 2016 and 89th in 2006. So we kind of got a little bit worse as time went on. But the study showed that between 2006 and 2016, the gap between registered Indians and Canadians was not reduced. So there was really no concerted effort to make it better. And of course, how can we when we live on only 0.2% of land?
Yeah.
We don't have land base. I mean, that's been kind of our cry up in our area here, even with the Métis and First Nations.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the revenue. How can we make our lives better for our people and for ourselves
Yeah.
and have revenue sharing? Doesn't
Yep.
make
Every
sense.
deal begins with land.
So, politicians, where are you? Can you? Yeah,
Listen up. Listen up, politicians.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, you know what? I think this conversation is helping people to realize a lot of things that are happening that, we just kind of live pleasantly in ignorance because we don't, hear about this enough in our own communities.
Back when I was a young person, we had no idea how the rest of Canada lived.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the toilet. Sometimes we had to knock the pile down so we could do our business, you know. Minus 40 matter, we had to go out there,
Yeah.
right? I always remember waking up to a cold house and somebody would be chiseling away ice from the pail to try and make tea for the morning and
Mm-hmm.
wait for the house to warm up. My grandma used to slip a piece of bannock under my pillow with butter on it, and that's what I'd munch on till the house got warm. I mean, we didn't know any better, right? We didn't know what was happening all around us. We didn't really think we were poor either. We just lived with the way we were, right? You know, and but that doesn't give the colonizers that excuse either, you know. And it's interesting that colonization, obviously in Saskatchewan, is still practiced. It's deeply ingrained.
Yep. I think you see a lot of different things, because of COVID, hey, like levels of housing and all of those like health issues and well, not even just here, but across the country, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
We all look back to the roots of colonization. Why was it there? Of course, to dispose
Hmm.
our
Have you
people.
read um, have
What's
you
that?
read have you read The Colonized and the Colonizer?
No, I haven't.
You should read it. It's pretty intense. Like you get through the first 5 pages, it's like whew, just so much
Okay.
knowledge. But it's sad because it's so dated, but
Yeah,
it's so current. Like even how as colonized people, how we think in a colonized way and we
yeah.
make decisions based on this like this new worldview that we've grown into.
See, unfortunately, I think in Canada, Saskatchewan, I guess, the indigenous people that do speak out,
Hmm.
they're not viewed favorably, especially in politics. All we have to look at is um, what's her name, Raybould there,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, that
Jody.
holy Jody.
You are.
And when our people start speaking out, that's not the norm.
Hmm.
They have a hard time understanding that
Hmm.
because I know because that we were put in our place. So when you start to break out of that mold, it's not taken well by of non-indigenous peoples,
Yeah.
and more so in politics.
Hmm.
They can't
Well,
understand that.
one thing I've been noticing a lot more is more talk about like environmental racism, right? Which is like exactly what's happening in your community, right? And it's like um it's hugely disproportionate, like in terms of what communities have versus what's taken. And yeah, it's mind blowing. What organizations just and still just come and plop themselves down and try to give someone a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
it's still that whole concept, right? So obviously back here, that's what they're thinking, right? Let's offer them some whiskey.
That
See what
is.
they might jump on it, you know? And that just, oh, that just, it's incredible,
Mhm.
you know? But like I say, we need to educate ourselves as Indigenous peoples. We need to
Yeah.
understand how we got to this place. And then we need to build on it. And how are we going to get out of this place?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Because these colonizers aren't going to give us that. We should know that by now.
Yeah.
Back again to what Arthur Manuel said, stop crying on their shoulder,
Yeah.
our land. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened to us here. I know the pleas, the letter writing, stating our case as to why this shouldn't happen, give us time, you know. No, don't have time. Let's just
Yeah.
do this pressure. And we can't handle that, right? You know,
Yeah.
we're not supposed to do that. It's illegal. Permits are done already. We handed them out. Too late.
Actually?
Yes, they had permits. When we met those young people and we asked them, well, why are you here? They said, we have permits. When I
And
met
that
them out, I said, you guys can't. You're not supposed to be leaving. We didn't ask you guys.
yeah.
Our reserve, and they were going out into our traditional territory,
Mhm.
stomping in here like nobody's business. And the answer I got was, we have permits, but you didn't give you permits. I should have said that, I guess, but
Yeah. It's a
you know,
different jurisdiction here.
you know,
Interesting. Well, I hope that things get better and it all works exactly what your community wants to see for themselves, whether that's, I don't know, something happening or those guys just buzz off and don't come back kind of thing or
well, I think given our experience with this guy,
yeah,
he's not buzzing off
no.
some other way.
Hmm.
He's determined.
Yeah.
He's going to do whatever he can, whether it's legal.
Yeah.
He, I don't know. Maybe some injunction against us. I don't know
Hmm.
what is.
I
But he
wonder if
pulled.
I
Yeah,
wonder if you can come on our little video here. Said I wonder if he would join our video here.
yeah.
I've got a few questions for him.
Mhm. But there again, no respect for the leadership, none whatsoever. They don't they don't see us as authority in our lands.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah. Lack of education, maybe they maybe don't even understand. He
Yeah.
did say initially he had made a plan to make a road from back over here in the Losh area,
Yeah.
trail back here about 50 kilometers, and he
Mhm.
was turned that because the lodge owners up the lakes over here opposed it, and the lodge owners knew before that before he even did. That's something.
Where are the lodge owners from?
They're from various places, Alberta, Saskatchewan. They've
Munya?
got all over, and they knew before we even knew, and they opposed the road
Oh,
being
I mean
built
that's
over there.
good that they shut it down, but huh?
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting too. Yeah. So,
Wow. Okay.
but we're ready. We're ready. The whole community ready to stand. The woman said they'll go up there, protect
Yeah.
their. Yeah. They'll stand with him. So
Good.
yeah,
Full impact treaty rights doesn't say. That's probably easier to read.
yeah, that's much better now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's never low.
Yeah. Like I'd be curious to know. Doesn't take into effect the cumulative.
Would you be able to pull up those maps I sent you of the fires?
Oh yeah, actually.
I just want to show our viewers what I'm talking about when we're talking about caribou. I mean, we
Okay.
talked a lot about caribou last time, and that's still what we're trying to do. We're trying to preserve our land. We're trying to preserve it for the caribou and also for us as land users.
Oh, wrong email.
I think it was up to 2009 is when the fires really started, where they just let them burn.
I've got a letter here, a few letters, your questions. Where's the fires? Consultation around caribou. Is that the one? The one with yeah, this is the one.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just share my screen. Sorry, peeps. Just bear with me.
Just be patient with her, guys. Just kidding.
Please be patient. Ron has to. Jordan.
Yeah.
Heck is it? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Okay.
See,
Can you take the one, show the one with just the circle? Okay, this is the area that you want to explore, but
this one?
just a circle. Did I send one to you with just a circle?
I don't know. These are the only 4 I have.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Okay,
The
maybe
one.
this. Yeah, yeah. This is the one I think. But what I wanted to show was that in the circle, about the middle, between Turner and the bay there, and all the way up towards between Kareen and Roe Lake. And for those of you that know what I'm talking about, right at the top is Birch Lake, Roe Lake. I mean, Kareen Lake. That's Roe Lake, I don't think. But in between, that's where they want to do the exploration. Now, if you look at the white part, that's the only green part where the caribou are living on. And the woodland caribou need a huge territory to roam on. Those that burgundy color, those were recent fires. I think those were up to 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see how they're surrounded there by those fires.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our appeal to the ministry and saying, look, they're endangered. These caribou have nowhere to go. So why would we want to threaten them?
Yeah.
We need to save them. We need to protect them. We need to mitigate anything that would threaten their habitat. Because the fires, if you go back to the other map, uh, the purple one, yeah, this one, yeah, that go back again, yeah.
Is that good?
Uh,
Or do you want me to go and zoom in?
give me another one. There's another one there. There's another one. Go to the other one. There's another one that kind of zooms in. No, no, it's
Uh,
another, not
this one?
that one. This one. This is the same area that's in that circle.
Oops.
You see,
Where'd it
this was,
go?
I think, up to 2009.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, we lost it again. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So you'll see up to the before all those fires raged around our country back from 2009 up to the present date.
Yeah.
This is where caribou were. They were all over the place back there. That's
Mm-hmm.
where we all that white and the
All
yellow. Yeah, all that white was where all the caribou were roaming around. All the yellow was kind of, I think, recovering. The land was recovering.
yeah.
And you compare that to 2017 and you look at how much has burned since then that they've allowed to burn. So already by this time, the Canadian government was telling Saskatchewan, the caribou are threatened.
Yeah.
And yet they let them burn. They let it burn.
Huh.
And you
Because I
see
wonder
that,
like how long it takes their like ideal ecosystem to grow back, right? Like the muskegs and the
yeah,
swamp areas.
right. I think it takes about 30 to 50 years. So now you look at this little section, that's where they are roaming around right now. They kind of go in between to the upper end over there, the upper end to the top there where that white is. They kind of roam back in there, cutting through this area. So that's where our caribou are at now. We go
Okay.
further north there, you don't see caribou, you don't see tracks because it's all burnt now. And
Huh.
that's our argument. I actually sent that to the minister, and of course, I never got a reply yet, right? And I don't expect one either.
Yeah.
But that's what we're trying to convince them, like, do something. We can't allow this because even if they do, if this exploration company happens to find uh, uranium, well, they're going to do what they need to do to use that.
Yeah.
Not even a right word, you know, and it'll destroy that habitat. It's
Hmm.
rich. It's all kind of wildlife in there, you know, was, and we want it all back. We don't want to lose it. We have a little bit of left. We want to hang on to it.
Yeah.
That's our key. That's where we're standing. And we're willing to take whatever it takes. You know, I sat down with my wife and I also told the others, I said, count the cost. Talk to your family because we don't know where this is going. Count the cost. Sit with your families. Talk about this. And I talked to my wife. I said, you know, are you willing? If I do have to go to jail, are you willing? And she said she'd stand by me. Yeah. Who knows? But hopefully that's not where we're going. Hopefully there are some reasonable people in that department and it makes sense to them. And that's our plea. Hopefully it struck a chord that maybe we do have a legitimate reason as to why we don't want anything there right now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're not totally against development, like resource development.
Yeah.
We're not. But at the same time, if we're telling you that there's a piece of land that we don't want anybody on, then respect that too.
Yeah. No
You know,
kidding.
that too, right? So that's kind of where we're at right now, anyway. So, yeah.
Hmm. Well, thank you, Ron. I know you were sleeping out in your truck in minus
Yeah.
50. How cold was it? Minus
It was
39?
39 that morning. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well,
But
you.
I'll tell you something interesting
Mhm.
because I pray and we're depending on the Creator. And you can say this is coincidence. Anybody can say this is coincidence. But I remember when they went up there, the temperature dropped to like something like minus 45. and it kind of stayed that way. And we just got word yesterday that they weren't able to do anything at all. Too cold. Then when they left, 25. I mean,
Mother
but
Nature, she was like, creator, she was like, oh, us.
you know, that's not coincidence. And I
Yeah.
told I told the leaders and the people, I said, creators on our side. There's indications here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just want to protect our land. We just want to preserve our caribou. We just want to keep what's ours. That's all we want to do, you
Mhm.
know. So I think we made up our mind. This is where we're going with this. Well, I don't think we want to deal with this individual anymore. He's being totally disrespectful.
Yeah.
Totally, it's absolutely. Yeah.
Well, keep us updated and let us know how people can help if there's any way
Yeah,
people
yeah.
can help.
And there's people from other communities, like even Laloche, saying, like, if you need help, call us. We'll go help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the same for us. If other people run into the same situation, I think we need to help each other in this. We need to let the government know that no, this has to stop. We can't keep doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're not back in the 1800s anymore.
Yeah.
People are becoming knowledgeable, educated, and understanding exactly what's going on. We're not idiots.
Yeah.
Quit trying to give us whiskey. It doesn't work anymore.
I can't believe that. That is.
I need some whiskey.
But I kind of made a joke. I said, well, darn it, why was I not there?
Funny. Well,
I guess that's kind of where we're at. And yeah.
well, thank you for that update. I appreciate that, and I think I speak for a lot of people, and Candace also said this, but we're very proud of you. That's some hard work and some,
Oh,
yeah, scary
I,
stuff. So
yeah. But I want to say that I'm proud of the people that we're all in this together. I'd like to mention people like Eric Sylvester, Kelly Kwan, John Paul Sylvester, the councillors, the mayor, mayor and councillors. There's so many others, land users like Leonard Sylvester, who jumped in his truck. He had a plow, and off he went and plowed a road so people can have access to go there. Um, Stuart Toback, Shane Toback, these are young people. Alan Desjardin, that's my brother. He's also, he loves the land. He's always been on the land all his life.
yeah,
And there's many others in this community that I can name that I'm very proud of. And I know they're going to be there when the SHIT hits the fan.
as you stir the rubaboo.
Mm, yeah, you know what's
Yeah,
gonna. Yeah. So
awesome. Well, I'm proud of you, my friend, and just keep me in informed, I guess, on what's going on and how I can help. And
yeah,
same goes to the audience. People
yeah.
can help.
The hand is behind me. Oh,
The claw.
yeah,
All right, my friend. Well, you have a good sleep and take care.
yeah. You too. Thank you so much. And I unfortunately I couldn't make it last night. I was so exhausted.
Oh no, that's okay.
That
That-
pretty early. Yeah. Okay.
All right, take care. Good night.
Bye
No
bye.
one.